Good afternoon/evening, G Vegas Gridiron. Doing some red light therapy right now, part of our training for this week, making sure our cells stay as healthy as possible. Trust the science on that one. On my commute home after a long day studying film on Plaxico's Gun and Run. And let me just say, it's going to be an incredible matchup. He is an opponent. He is probably the worst possible opponent that my team could have had in round one of the playoffs. He scored over 200 points the last 2 weeks of the season. Ever since his trade with DJ, he has just been flying. That three-way trade that has really helped two teams and really hurt one. Unfortunately, I hate to see it, especially now that we're in the playoffs. But I do want to take a moment to talk about just the season as a whole. Now that the regular season's complete, we made it to the playoffs. It was not a sure thing heading into last week. I was very concerned, as you know, that it wasn't going to happen for me last week. And I felt like I had good reason to believe that. Kurth was in good form. We had a couple of key players on bye. I think we only had one bench player that actually played a game last week. So we were missing a good portion of our team. I think it was 5 starters that were out. And the next man up mentality is something that we've tried to preach throughout this season, and it really turned up for us quite well last week against Tio Rico with our highest score of the season en route to a 70-point win. And Kurth thought that on the podcast it was going to be a big win, and we were just so unsure. And we really were. I was on pins and needles. After CeeDee Lamb went down last Thursday, I got really nervous that I lost a good quarter and a half of production from a guy that was having a great week. And I really felt like I could rue missing out on, the possibility of at least 7 more points, I'd say, given the trajectory that last week was taking for him. So we are just so excited to be here. It's a little bit surreal to have made the playoffs after an 0-4 start. And I genuinely have not felt so hopeless in my entire time as a fantasy football manager. I felt like my draft had potentially been completely wrong. Now, at the end of the day, I decided to trust my draft and stick with the team that I had for the most part. I mean, obviously we made some waiver moves, and we did end up turning over, I think when I looked last, 14 players that were on my roster in week 4 no longer were there in week 14. So we did make a number of moves throughout the season, but a lot of those were IDPs, and I feel like our defense has come a long way. It was very unreliable at the start of the season. I feel like our offense has come a long way, particularly as TreVeyon Henderson has begun panning out more in New England. Hopefully he didn't lose momentum over the bye this past weekend. But our team really has come through in a big way, and we trusted a lot of the pieces that we had. We've had some big free agent acquisitions that have helped with that as well, of course. Alec Pierce being one, Theo Johnson, Darren Waller have fixed some problem positions for us. And then Kyle Monangai as well. My goodness, what he's been able to do this season has been terrific. Obviously not a member of the Golden Reaper anymore, but he was a big part of our team's resurgence over the last couple of months. So just really, really proud of what the season brought. And obviously a first round exit in the playoffs is not what we're hoping for. We feel like this team has the potential to win a championship game. I don't think there's a clear front runner at this point in the playoffs. I think it's pretty even, which I can't always say. I do feel like there's some weaker teams out there that probably won't win it. I think there's probably 4 teams that have a legit shot, maybe 5. But there's no one clear runaway leader this season. So I feel like we absolutely can contend, and we have to get through probably our toughest game this week. Looking at John's team, he's got some huge matchups ahead for him. I think Matthew Stafford's going to have a monster week. I think Bijan's going to have a monster week. Elsewhere, it's a little less assured. But I still think that he's got enough juice in there that it's going to take everything our team has to get through round one. But should we get through round one, I feel okay about our odds. So, it'd be tough. It'd be tough given the run that we've been on for it to end this week. But also, no matter what happens this next weekend, I'm extremely proud of the team for our resilience this season, for not panicking when we were at 0-4 and did not look like we were going to be able to do much at all. We stayed true to who we are, and we kept grinding. We didn't give up, and I love that about this group. This has probably been one of my favorite years of fantasy football that I've ever had. Obviously, a championship would secure that status, and that is the goal. That's what we're aiming for, and everything we do over the next 3 weeks will be to get us to that summit, to hoist the Jeff Betts Trophy once again. But, again, if we don't get there, if something happens and the stars don't align for us, then that's all right. At least we can look back on a job well done this season. So really, really excited for the playoffs. Can't wait. I'm antsy for our podcast tonight and excited to preview it with all the others. We're going to have a great guest on tonight. Very excited for that. And I hope everyone except for John has a great week, and we'll see you next time.